Hello and welcome to my Castile guide for 1.33 Origins update. I'm going to show you not only how to conquer all the Maghreb, but start your invasion of France, the British Isles, and Russia, as most Castile guides only show you how to conquer the Maghreb and the New World. So at the start of the game, I'm going to show you who to rival. So this guide is unique to others as it has a very strange strategy, but a very good one. So for this game, you should rival France and England and anybody else you want to. I would recommend Lithuania though, because they'll become they'll become a personal union under Poland, which and also a subject cannot become a rival of another nation. So you instantly get a clips modifier and you get a free power projection. I also recommend this strategy because France will later in the game get really good military ideas such as Elan, 20% morale of armies and 5% discipline, and they will usually take offensive ideas. And you really don't want to deal with that later in the game, so I recommend weakening them now so you don't have to deal with that later. And in this case, Burgundy did not rival me, but they usually will. But in this case, they didn't. So, you should ally and royal marry them. Do not accept a royal marriage offer from them. Otherwise, you will not be eligible for Burgundian inheritance. And Austria will usually always ally you, and you will kind of need them against France or England. They will help a bit, and if your strategy later in the game involves destroying the Ottomans, I recommend them as they will help you a lot. Also, get the diplomatic reputation advisor if you want to ally them easier. Also, do not accept a alliance offer from Portugal as you're gonna fight them soon. And also, Aragon is a really good ally as they'll help you with the Maghrebi nations, and also it helps you get the Iberian wedding. Also, you want to diplomatically vassalize Navarra, otherwise Aragon will, and then you have to wait 50 years to integrate them when you get the Iberian wedding. So I recommend vassalizing them now and only wait 10 years to integrate them. I recommend also getting all level 1 advisors and disinheriting Enrique at the start, because you're going to get an Isabel event, then a Habsburg event to get heir from a Habsburg. Also, when you do this, you can do patronage of the arts 3 times or 2 times in a row to get more prestige. As you can see, I'm doing right now. Also, I recommend getting 3 monopolies on the trade goods you're not going to get much, as you kind of do need a little extra money at the start, and also so you don't take much loans, and so you get the 3% mercantilism, as that gives you 6% provincial trade power, and that's every 10 years, so in a few years you're going to get a lot of trade power, as you're going to make a lot of money from trade, so this is why I recommend this. Especially when you start making trade companies, as that will boost your trade tremendously. Also, send a merchant to Bordeaux, as the strategy involves really quickly getting a spy network on England before the 100 Years' War, which sometimes happens, and then getting a claim on a province in Gascony, and then attacking them. So that's why I recommend putting a merchant there, so you can get the hostile trading to increase spy network construction. So no matter what, this guide will always work for you to get a claim before France, if they do declare war on England. But they usually won't in my cases. Also, remember, do not accept a royal marriage offer from Burgundy. Just send them a royal marriage offer so you can get the Burgundian inheritance. As you can see, I'm putting the hostile spy network, the hostile trading things for the extra spy network. But I actually got a diet mission for it, but I'm just showing, for example, as I could get 20 spy network before France and the 100 Years' War event happened. But in this case, they didn't go to war, but it's just for example. Also, I recommend sending your 2 main armies to Portugal, as they have a really good army buff from their ideas, which is 10% infantry combat ability. So I recommend your stack being 16 infantry and 6 cav, and sending the rest of your men that you don't need to the English army, because you hired a freeing company near there. Also, to start the game, I recommend slackening professionalism twice for the extra manpower, because you need it in a mission. And also hiring any extra men you may need. I also recommend developing the production on Lamanca as it's a gold mine, or you could, as I did, do the Holy Order, which gives you production depth there, and for all of the provinces in the state, which is really good as it's gonna boost your economy a bit. Also, lower your fleet maintenance because you're not really gonna need your fleet at the start or most of the game, except when you start colonizing. So remember to start getting your armies prepared for the war. As Portugal is a really strong enemy because of the infantry combat ability, and also because early game battles, for some reason, they lose a lot of manpower. Especially since Castile doesn't have like discipline or anything else. But you could hire a discipline advisor, which is what I would recommend. As you can see, you improve relations with Navarra, then ally them, then royal marriage them, and then send a gift, and then influence them. That's for the maximum relations the fastest, because while you're allying them, you have improved relations going, which is why you improve relations first, then ally them. This will make it so you diplomatically vassalize them faster than Aragon, which means that they won't become a personal union under Aragon. Also, if you're lucky, Naples will be kept with Aragon, so you don't have to do that Spanish Neapolitan War later in the game. But in that, it doesn't happen most of the time. But it's just a really good luck thing. So as you can see, I realized that I had the diet thing. So now I'm going to declare war on England. Also, if you can co-belligerate Portugal if they don't have any strong allies, and also if you have Burgundy or maybe Austria and Aragon wants to join, you can have them help you in the war. You don't really need their help though. But in this case, I did get Burgundy's help. But it's completely possible, even as a beginner, to do this without their help. Just kill Portugal's army, siege their provinces, and then have your free company go siege down England. In this case, my clip glitched, and it just repeated the same clip, which happened a lot in my clips. But in this case, I'm just going to explain the strategy for it. So, remember, send your main stack to Evora or Lisboa, or you can do three things. You can send your main army in Portugal to siege down Bora, the fort, or Lisboa, or you can have your army kill the Portuguese army, which is a really good strategy because then the Portuguese won't really have anything for the rest of the battle, or the rest of the war. And also, just in case, I recommend having a fleet right next to the Gascon provinces and sending a small army to Bordeaux. So it can also help siege down the Normandy provinces before you finish the siege of Laborde. And as you can see, I cut a bit forward. As you can see, Burgundy is helping a bit, but you don't need their help. Trust me. And as you can see, the Portuguese army is in the top left of Castile. You could try and catch them there, as they'll usually move to the east, and you can try and catch them in Lyon. And wait for them to be movement locked. And if you're in Lyon, you can attack them in Asturias. And as you can see, I was really lucky and got the talented and ambitious starter. And I skipped to where I beat Portugal. You're going to take these three provinces, Porto, Lisboa, and Ceuta. Ceuta so you can conquer the Maghreb nations. And also Porto and Lisboa because they're important trade centers. So you get more money from the civilian trade node. And as you can see, I cut forward a bit. I take the provinces of Pale and the Gascon provinces, as Pale is in Ireland and the two provinces in Gascony. If you have extra war score, you can give provinces to Burgundy though. And as you can see, I release Gascony and declare war on the French for the reconquest of the cores, as they have a lot of cores in the southern France region. Also, your allies will usually all help you in this. I co-belligered Provence because I'm gonna pillage the capital area, and also I thought I could get extra war score from Saluzzo, but in my case, my allies I actually had a little bit of a tough time against France, so I couldn't. But either way, it's pretty easy with Austria. You just need to have a lot of manpower, but I had a little bit. So I skip forward. I'm piecing out Provence right now. I'm pillaging their capital and getting money, as wars will kind of fuel your economy early game. And I get 5 development from that, which is really good. And also war reparations, and I tried to get a little bit more prestige, but I couldn't. So I just get more money. So this is why war participation in this war is really good, because you get a lot more money. You can't really rely on your allies that much to beat up the enemies for you, because Burgundy, they were focused on and they got completely sieged down and they lost a personal union member. So they were a lot weaker this game. And as you can see, I restored Gascony's cores, which is gonna help you. And I actually got the Castilian Civil War. I recommend if you get a good king or heir to fight the Castilian Civil War, or you can just get the new candidate, or you can let the rebels enforce their demands. It really depends on your manpower situation, which you can see I have a little bit, but I did try and beat them up, and I did. As Portugal sent some manpower to my side, which is really helpful. I also got a military tech up. And I got a tech up which helped me beat the rebels. And also, I took a few loans to do the Renaissance. Which I always recommend because mana points are more important than money. Which is why you hire advisors. Also, I paid down my 4% loans with the 1% loans. And I got Technology 5. In the early game, you're gonna not have much admin or diplomatic mana, as you have bad king at the start, and also you're gonna be coring and taking a diplomatic hit from wars. And as you can see, I got a lot of rebellions, which is usually just Castile early game, because you're gonna have a lot of rebellions, especially if you're conquering a bunch of regions like me. Especially if you conquer Ireland, which is my plan. But you're gonna have like 35,000 rebels in total in Ireland just alone because of how rebellions work. So I recommend, if you have a lot of money in this point in the game, I recommend you just hiring mercenaries. Like, it's a lot easier. But in this case, I didn't have much money, so I had to just deal with my manpower situations. And I finished my rebellions, except the noble rebellions in Ceuta, but I'm gonna finish that later. Because I had an opportunity to attack Granada without Tunis coming in. Usually Granada might ally the Ottomans, which is really possible, but usually you can just wait for them to not join because they're gonna be busy in wars. And also I got the Gold Rush event, which is really good, and it helped me pay off my loans. And I got noble rebels in my capital, like 20,000 of them, which is really a hit to my manpower, but I had to deal with it. And I pieced out Granada. Gascony will help you a lot in these wars because they have a good manpower pool instead of yours, and they might just like take down. You could just let them take down Granada by themselves, but that'll take a while. Also, if noble rebels do spawn in your capital, recommend to send the defenders to help in the fort because you have a fort in your capital. Also, I recommend just getting the stability because you get another event for your mission tree, which just makes them all all the Granadan provinces become Sunni again. And plus, free stability is worth more than 4 provinces, especially when you don't have them cored yet. And I'm dealing with my rebels in Ireland, and I got the Iberian wedding kinda early, but it usually happens a little around this time. But I also, in this game, Oporto, which is the provinces I took from Portugal, had a lot of rebellions. And also, as you can see, I did not get the Burgundian inheritance, but the Austrians did, which is completely fine, as you might be able to PU Austria, and also you get an event to get the Low Countries from Austria. But if France gets it, I kind of just recommend all F4ing, but you don't have to. It just makes it a lot harder to fight France. And I'm going to attack Morocco, as the Ottomans wouldn't join in, or their ally Tolgurt, however you pronounce that. And this is how you start your Maghrebi conquest, this is why I didn't start the Maghrebi conquest earlier, because of the Ottomans, which really was annoying. And I recommend your vassals sieging the fort in Fez, because it's a mountain fort and you have a lot of attrition from it. And I got this event from Granada, which loses stability. Yeah, I kind of paused out on it because I didn't have much manpower to deal with it, because I just fixed my manpower situation, but now I have to deal with that. So I recommend putting your troops there, because then you have a defender advantage, because when they rise up you get a defender advantage. And I easily killed them. But if I recommend going to Granada, the province of Granada, because there's a river there, and otherwise you would take a -2 dice roll. But you do that. You take a -2 dice roll on the other provinces, though. And as you can see, my truce with France ended. But I'm not gonna attack them right now because I don't have enough manpower, and I'm kind of in the middle of dispersing my AE to the Maghreb. And I also gotta explore, and I'm starting to explore the New World. And the and my clip glitched again, which happens a lot. If anybody could tell me how to help this, I'm on VideoPad, but it just happens, and I keep trying to fix this for like 2 hours. Well, actually, a lot more than that. But while this happens, the strategy for Ireland, uh, I recommend in Ireland that you really quickly conquer the Ireland in the beginning, because otherwise you're gonna have, since the 1.33 update and some other updates, the AI builds a lot more forts. Even if they're a one province miner in like a 3 dev province, they will build some forts. And honestly, if you do it later like I did because I was too busy, it's gonna hurt your manpower a lot more, because you're gonna have a level 3 fort in like every province in Ireland, which is really annoying. And also, I recommend having a pause from France and England for a little bit, because you have to start conquering like the New World. Because a lot, here's a strategy for the New World. When your colonies get attacked, you can enforce peace on the native, and you can join the war as the war leader. And also, I just finished my war with Morocco, and this is really what you're gonna take. I tried to diplomatically vassalize Tlemcen, but it didn't work. So I later just vassalized them regularly in a war. That's why I got this province next to them, and also to declare war on Tunis. So I got a claim on Tunis, and then I declared war on them. Usually your allies won't really help you against Tunis because a bit too far away, but you don't need help against Tunis. They're really easy to beat. And I sent my armies to go siege them down. You might not be able to get military access against Morocco because you did just fight them. So I recommend just send your army on a navy. And I got radical reforms. Remember to fire your advisors and then take it. And then rehire them. And as you can see, I beat Tunis. It won't really be much of a coalition, so you can take as much as you want. And I recommend taking like the capital state of Tunis because it has a trade node there, and some other. And you can take Tripolitania because that has a trade node too. And I start my cleanup of the Maghreb by attacking Togurt, I think. And I couldn't co-belligerate Fezzan, but this is how you annex Fezzan without bringing in the Mamluks. You can just attack one of your allies. I also just reset the truce with Tunis, and I start. While I'm in the war with Togurt, I start my conquest of Ireland because I was really hesitant to do it because I didn't have much manpower. But as you can see, my empire is pretty big right now. And the clip glitched again. This happened a lot. I'm not sure how to fix. Could any of you in the comments below tell me how to fix the VideoPad thing? Because I'm on VideoPad. It's probably because I'm on VideoPad, which is not the best thing, but it's the only one I could actually work on. As you can see, I annexed Fezzan earlier, and right now I'm annexing Mizab. Or Togurt. Whatever it's called. And the clip glitched again. And clearing. And as you can see, I'm just gonna piece out all the Irish miners separately so you can get a little bit more money if you need to. Though if you piece them with the war leader, you'll get a little bit less aggressive expansion, but it doesn't really matter, as it's only a little bit of aggressive expansion anyway, because of the distance from the continental Europe. Also, since you took Pale earlier, England won't be able to colonize for a little bit more. which is good since you don't have a rival in the New World for a little bit. Also, if any Irish miner is guaranteed or allied to England, try and fight their ally, and just unco-belligerate them and annex them. As you can see, I actually held on off on the rest of Ireland because I was kind of sick of rebellions there, and I didn't have much manpower to spare over there. As you can see, my manpower is 0. But here's where my game gets interesting. As Novgorod, this usually happens. They're just a one province miner for like forever until they get annexed by like Sweden or Denmark. And I'm gonna actually no CB Novgorod, the one province miner. So I go to war with Scotland to annex Brittany because I couldn't get a claim on Brittany. So I just killed them then. And while this was going on, I no CB Novgorod, which is this usually happens where they're just a one province miner, and it's really annoying because I have OCD. But honestly, I just cleaned that up, and I diplomatically vassalized them, and then I was forced religion on them because I want Russia to be Catholic. So when I integrate them after like 50 years, it's gonna be all Catholic. And I finished my war with Scotland. I annexed them. I forgot that the provinces have to be of Scottish culture to release them. But so I just annexed Scotland, and I also annexed Brittany, which kind of hurt France because Brittany is a really rich area. So I annexed all of Scotland, or the rest of Scotland. I should have just vassalized them there, but I didn't because I forgot that you can't release them from. Because these areas are Highland culture and Norwegian culture, so I couldn't release them from there. So I just later I took a province from England and released them there. As you can see, this is where it gets really interesting, and I allied Poland to call them into this war. I recommend keeping Poland as an ally because they're also really strong. And later I would clean up the Baltic. And right now I'm at war with Muscovy, so I can send my troops to Novgorod so they don't get black flagged again. And I've occupied most of Russia, and I pieced out the allies of Russia because I wasn't gonna siege down like 3 forts in Livonia, in the Livonian order, and I got a bit of money from it. So right now I'm gonna piece out Muscovy, as I have a lot of war score against them. I'm gonna give some provinces to Poland, and I got a lot of provinces I got most of the provinces that are cores of Novgorod, as they're Novgorodian cultures, so that means their core never goes away. And as you can see, Novgorod is like half Russia. And here's where I show you a little tip. So when your colonies get attacked, if you have 100 relations with them, you can actually enforce peace on the native. So you can join their war as a war leader in the defensive side. So this is a good tip to expand the colonial regions without attacking like a whole 100,000 army of natives, because then their allies will join in. And this happens a lot. So it's a really good tip just to colonize the New World faster without having to fight too much natives, but with still some natives. And I vassalized Tlemcen, so I'm gonna retake their cores and take some more of Morocco. They also released Tripoli from Tunis, and as you can see, my clip glitched again, which happens way too much. And can somebody please tell me how to work VideoPad correctly? Because I'm new to editing, and this is my first video. And you send your stacks to their capital and their forts, and they released Tripoli, so I just completely annexed Tripoli, and my truce ended with Tunis, so I just fought Tunis while I was fighting Morocco and the two natives. And I took all of Tlemcen's cores. I was close to Admiraltech 10, which means I could form Spain diplomatically, and I thought if I gave the provinces to Aragon, that they would core them before I formed Spain so I can get free cores on them. But that didn't happen, so I actually just got them again without a core. But that would probably work if I give them more time before I form Spain. And as you can see, I'm about to get a lot bigger, and I Iberian Peninsula to Russia to Gascony to the British Isles to the Maghreb and New World, which is really good at this point in the game, which is about 1506. And I gave these provinces to Aragon because I didn't want to deal with much overextension. And I took most of Morocco. I tried to get the trade node, but I just wanted Morocco. I just wanted to take a lot of Morocco instead of getting a trade node and maybe some money. As you can see, their war score, their total war score was just a bit over 200, which means I tried to get as much war score out of them as I can, so I could completely annex them in the next war. So I tried to see which province was the best war score wise, and I took that. So Morocco is basically dead, and they have about exactly 100 war score. And I finished my war with Tunis. Right now, after I finish siege. And I tried to renounce their claims, their cores on Tlemcen and some areas in Tunis. So there would be a less chance of rebellions arising. And as you can see, it took me a while to get to the war with the natives because I didn't have much men sent over there, and I annexed all the parts I could see to my Spanish-Brazilian colony, which is why Spanish-Brazil would usually be a lot bigger than most of your other colonies at this point in the game. Or you could just completely focus on going colonial after conquering the Maghreb and Gascony and Ireland. As the natives have a lot of land, as you can see, that's not even all the land I can see. I also went to war with France again. I took I released Burgundy and gave some provinces, as I forgot a province when I took Gascony, and also I gave them, restored Toulouse's course, and it took me a while to get to it, but I went to war with Naples, and I also helped my colony, Florida, against a lot of natives, because in northeastern America, a lot of natives happen, and like they have like a huge federation of like 50,000. Sometimes a huge federation arises, where it's just half of the New World, which is really annoying, and I wish they would kind of fix native mechanics a bit more. So like 100,000 natives don't try and kill your colony immediately after it forms. And I got a personal union with Naples. In this game, I was really lucky, and Naples took economic and quantity ideas, so they would basically become really tall. And they already were really tall, and they haven't even finished economic ideas and quantity ideas. And they would also be a really good vassal because they have 50% more force limit from quantity. And I also renounced their claims on Sicily because I had that, and that would give me a negative relations bonus and some bad events. I also got a event like the Spanish language or something, which gave me culture conversion cost minus 15%. So I started culture converting like the Basque cultures and the cheapest other cultures like Leonese. I didn't have much diplomatic points because I was about to take a new tech, so I didn't completely go overboard with culture converting. And I finished my war with the natives that attacked my colony in Florida. I try and give them. This is how you expand Florida a lot more, because like just let your colony get attacked and then help it defensively. And then it took me a while to get to it since I was fighting in other places, but I got the restoration of Union Castile and Portugal, and I was about to attack them. And I got some prestige from Austria. Great Britain would join, but I could beat Great Britain, so I was fine with that. And I went to war with Portugal. And as you can see, more natives declared war on my colony in Florida, which happens way too much. So I enforced peace just like that. And as you can see, I was fighting half of northeastern America, and even more more natives declared war on. Sorry, my computer glitched for a second, and it turned completely black. But anyways, I declared war. I took some provinces from Great Britain in this war. I took the rest of Ireland, the provinces they had in Ireland, and a province which had a Protestant Reformation center. And I also finished my war with Portugal, and I got a union with them, and I took some money. and I have united a lot uh, of areas, such as a bit more of southern Northeast America, or I mean, southern Southeast America. And as you can see, in this whole game, I have a lot of Europe. I have Novgorod. I allied the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth became really huge because I weakened Muscovy. So they attacked Muscovy later, and they had like 100% peace deal on them. Also, Austria, since they got the Burgundian inheritance, they were able to hire a huge army of like 60,000 men, and they enforced. They got a union with Bohemia and Hungary, which Hungary was huge in this game, and it's possible for me to get a personal union with Austria, which means I get Bohemia and Hungary too. I have Tlemcen. I conquered most of the Maghreb. I'm gonna have a part two of this if you want to watch it, showing what to do to invade the rest of France and Muscovy and the British Isles. And the Ottomans, I'm planning to get Byzantium in, and Bulgaria. And you also got Naples. I added the Papal States for more papal influence. I got Portugal. And as you can see, Portugal has its own colonial empire with the Caribbean. And I have my own colonial empire. I have a colony in La Plata, Brazil, the Colombia, and uh, Eastern America. And I have most of Ireland and other parts of the British Isles. And you have Novgorod. And also, we're gonna Russia is basically never gonna form, as it can't come back from this because it's almost as weak as my vassal, and the Commonwealth is huge. They have like 100,000 plus men and are absolutely huge. And I'm still checking on Austria because they're doing. This is one of the best Austrian games I've ever seen because they don't usually get a union with Bohemia and Hungary, especially Hungary that huge because they have most of Wallachia, Moldavia, and Balkans. And you can see I have Brazil, La Plata, and some other places. And I'm gonna plan to invade Mexico and kill all the natives in Northeast America. And you have 100+ ducking economy and seasoned land. And you have a lot of subjects such as Naples, Tlemcen, your colonies. And that's it for my guide, please.